Hello, welcome to Arcana Tarot Study Group. I'm Bruce Gardner. This is the first set of a new series of videos where we hope to bring our experience and knowledge of tarot to you. So, what is tarot? The tarot, in my opinion, is a mandala. It is a pattern of symbols encapsulating the entirety of human experience. It is also called a book without a beginning and without an end, and which can be interpreted in any number of ways depending on how the cards are shuffled and read. We could also view the tarot as a temple of paper, a temple with 78 shrines. But when the cards are shuffled and laid out before you, they become a mirror. And they reflect what you see within them. They reflect your programming that's within us from the time we're born, from society and family we're programmed, and they also reflect the karmas that we carry from life after life. So they're there for you to interpret as you gaze into the cards. So the tarot is a pack of 78 cards, and they have a history extending back to the period of the Renaissance in Europe. So they've been around a long time, and at the time of the Renaissance there was a resurgence of interest in classical philosophy and art, and there was a lot emerging at that period of history. And the tarot is a part of that, and the tarot is a bit like a distillation of a lot of the philosophy that was around at that time, that was being rediscovered. It was a very exciting period, and there was a lot of influences coming into Europe. There was, of course, the Christian religion, and there was Jewish Kabbalists and the Islamic influence coming also into Europe at that time. So the tarot has a lot of esoteric symbolism, and there's so much there to read. But it's very deep, but this imagery, this symbolism filtered down into popular culture as well through religious passion plays and the triumphal religious processions that would be publicly displayed. So the imagery that is on the tarot cards, while they were studied esoterically by those well educated enough to read Latin and Greek, it was also familiar to the peasantry at that time. It was played as a game called tarocchi, and later as tarot. And we still don't know exactly what those words mean, but tarot has been around for a long time, even if we don't understand exactly the meaning of the word. There's some ideas, but we're not certain. Since at least the early 1400s, and probably for some time before then, the tarot has been used as a game, but it's not merely a game. To see it as merely a game is to ignore the culture and the time period it came out of. The cards are filled with symbolism, and even the uneducated peasantry could identify it on a basic level. But if they were to interpret it on a more esoteric level, then you could find deeper meanings reading in the symbols. Let's take a look at a very simple tarot mandala, very simplified version here. We have the 4 suits laid out around, with the suit of the major arcana cards in the center. So let's begin with the 4 suits relating to the 4 directions, the 4 elements, and the 4 classes of medieval life in Europe. The cups represent the element of water, and they would relate to the class of the clergy, the ecclesiastical class, as it is the cup of the Mass. The swords They relate to the courtly class, the knights, and this represents the element of air. These are the aces on top here. We have the 4 aces. So the element of air, and that would be the courtly class. And we have the coins, the suit of coins, or sometimes called pentacles in other decks, and this would be the merchant class, the craftsmen and traders. Here at the top we have the staves or wands or rods, and this represents the serfs, the hard-working laboring class. These represent the 4 elements. We have cups for water, we have swords for air, coins or pentacles for earth, and the wands for fire. Now these 4 elements are part of this esoteric philosophy which was resurging in the Renaissance, and they each correspond to a different aspect of human life. The cups relate to the heart, to the feelings and the emotions, the emotional side of life. The swords would correspond to the intellectual side of life. It corresponds to the word as logos, and as communication, language, and the spreading of intellectual ideas, whether communicated through words spoken or words written. The coins represent the body, anything with material life, having to do with the body, the material life like food, clothing, shelter, your job, your health. And the wands represent creativity, fire, the sexual energy, the creative side of life. So all these 4 elements represent a balanced life. And the 22 major arcana cards represent the forces which move within and beyond and around our lives. Those elemental forces such as justice, death, lovers, wheel of fortune, hanged man, star, sun, moon, and judgment, and so on. So these are more archetypal forces, whereas the minor arcana cards are interpreted to represent situations in our everyday lives, encounters and situations in our earthly lives. Now, when they are interpreted in different ways, we can read so much just from that alone, through the symbolic imagery. But the symbolism in this Tarot of Marseille that I have here, this French deck called the Tarot of Marseille, it's a little abstract to try to read the minor arcana, because they simply represent the 3 of Wands is merely 3 wands, and the 2 of Wands is merely 2 wands with some floral and foliage around it. It's a little abstract for a beginner to tarot. If you are new, I would encourage you to try the Rider Tarot deck or the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot deck, illustrated by Pamela Coleman Smith, because in their minor arcana, the minor arcana are lushly illustrated with figures to help the reader to interpret the meaning of the cards in a much easier way, rather than dealing with very abstract patterns. So let's call that our first Arcana Tarot Study Group new video, and in the future I hope to show you some more mandalas and other ways of interpreting the cards, using them for meditation. And thank you very much for watching our YouTube videos and for following our Arcana Tarot Study